They're not on the red side anymore. And that, I think, is probably a good thing. Blue side certainly looked a whole lot better for them. Let's dive into the draft here for game number 3, the deciding one between these two squads. Not something I was expecting to say today, to be perfectly honest. See what is going to be adjusted.
What will be the change up here? B&K, game number 1. Close to a perfect game. T1, game number 2. Also close to a perfect game.
Yeah.
All that we want is a game that, you know, has at least a little bit of a tug-of-war, a back and forth. We'll see if that's what we're going to be getting here. As the Ash Band do love that. We saw the priority that B&K put on it, and had an exceptional performance on it.
Ooh,
I actually don't mind this. I think Closer had a really good game, and I know Faker just got PUG for his Tristana, but it still has, to me, a level of volatility that makes me go, that's okay. The Ivern, I think, makes sense again. Really, it's one of those interesting games where I think as either team, you can feel relatively confident running back parts of the draft, right? The Tristana is definitely going to come out here. I do think that they need to ban away the Braum. I think the caster, or the desk actually did a really good job of highlighting how much value that Braum did get. Keria also, I think, was a very great right media vote, because if you look at a lot of those early game plays, he was there, setting them up, being on the front foot.
Well,
this is interesting, because this actually puts T1 in a bit of an awkward position. They will unlock in Tristana, but that does mean that at least some of the Gnar counters are going to get banned away. The GP, I think, most likely. That's a price that T1 is willing to pay as Faker locks in Tristana.
And this is the call that they got in both games 1 and 2, of course. But now, I think there should be some triage that should be possible. And I think the Braum, like you were saying, needs to be the first one taken away. That is... I mean, Keria looked incredible on it in the last game, but it also just augments the composition so beautifully. I think that the space illustrated it really, really well. And I think that has to be ban number 1. Or at least ban number 2. I guess the order doesn't actually matter that much. Jace going to be taken away here. Of course, Jason not a bit of a classic. And yeah, then just as long as you find the Braum ban, that's all I require. Unless they ban Yone, maybe they really want to protect Clear and give him an actual laning phase. But I honestly think you sacrifice Clear for the good of the colony, and you stop Keria from being on the Bram.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I think Keria's Leona games have also looked a little bit more iffy. As the good old MF, digging deep. Kind of like that. I do actually think that we're kind of building towards an MF.
There it is.
Angle. Leona, it's the obvious one. That's the one loss for B&K, is that they can't pick Braum into Leona. I don't think they're going to be too sad about that. Can also pick up the pick for Zeus here.
Yeah.
Be the most shocking thing to come through. And Zeus is just going to take one for the team. Did a very admirable job, although it wasn't enough in game 1. Then, you know, had a great Yone game and still managed to be, I think, the only one on the team that died, which is very funny.
Hey, but he died to get a Baron.
Oh, no.
Strategic
he still had a great game, right? Insane amount of pressure. Ooh, okay.
Interesting.
Interesting in a bad way, I take it. It hasn't really been working out.
It's not giving me a lot of positive vibes.
It's not giving?
No.
No, I'm with you. I think the Senna has really struggled. When Guma isn't playing Senna anymore, you kind of know.
That's Seraphine.
Okay, that kind of catches me off guard. Because I think Seraphine picking it when the Senna's like locked in, you want to deny it, that makes sense. I guess whenever Orn ults, you can just throw the Seraphine ult out in response. So it makes sense in that regard. And you have double Enchanter, which double Enchanter, double AD carry is very fun to play into.
Yep.
I guess in that light, it does make some sense.
Also in the sense of the intro for the LCK at the moment and the break music the majority of the time, it's a lot of Seraphine that we've had going on with the Anima squad.
Oh, very true. I actually played it, and it is more of a, you know, you can play with up to 4 people.
Yeah.
I tried it. If you play it solo, it's not great. But if you play with a lot of people, yeah, because she is kind of a support, even in that game mode.
Oh, right. So you're just saying like Seraphine herself.
In that game mode is also very supportive. We'll see what style Keria is going to go for here. There are obviously a bunch of different builds one can go for. And T1, let's be clear, even after that game number 1, still very heavily the favorites. But I think the BNK draft, I think it looks good. I think this has a lot of power. The main issue is that bot lane. Are they going to bring enough to the table in the mid game?
Yeah, and they're up against Seraphine Ezreal as well, which does not sound like a whole lot of fun.
No.
That is double ranged and a lot of poke, and you're just going to need as many Qs as possible, Henna, and we'll see whether he can find enough of them. Maybe another possibility here for BNK. They did it in game 1. We'll see whether they can do it here in game number 3. I feel like the T1 fans have gotten louder and louder as the day has gone on. And of course, this is the deciding game. And a victory moving towards their matchup against Home Life Esports on Saturday is extraordinarily important, right? They need to stay in that race for getting at least towards second. Gen.G not looking like they're going to lose ever this season.
They're definitely not likely to lose their next series, Atlas.
Hey, we thought that was the case for this series as well, Chronicler, okay?
Okay, but T1 has also dropped games to Bro.
Owie.
And Gen.G don't really have the same habit of dropping random games against weaker teams.
Yeah, if that was the case, they wouldn't have dropped any games at all this whole season.
Exactly.
All right, okay, yeah, that's exactly what happened.
I do want to give a little bit of credit here to Duro for going Unsealed Spellbook.
Hey, there we go.
No grasping this time around. Yeah, no,
yesterday
sorry.
was not it.
I know. I was very unhappy about
4 grasp stacks by 17 minutes. That's what we saw in yesterday's game.
Yeah.
You know, I was very close to managing to push that completely out of my brain.
And then now I reintroduced it.
Yeah, it's now back in.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right.
I had to live through it, as did you.
For the science, sometimes you have to realize that A, Scion Center is not what it used to be, and B, taking Grasp into double ranged is not great. Although there was a Leona in that lane, wasn't there? It didn't help.
Yeah, but even, like, Leona is just going to leave the lane, which she did.
Yeah.
I want to highlight Keria actually going for the Jack of all trades as well as First Strike. So this is a build that isn't as strong as it was, I say, as they relentlessly pummel them. Yeah, because the last one was Senna. Also, one of those Gen.G wins, I just really want to... We always talk about the caveats when it comes to stats. One of those Gen.G wins, I forgot, I think Pace was like 0-5, 0-4, was not due to Lahens and Pace having a good time.
But one of those one of those Gen.G wins was a masterclass of how to play the bottom lane.
I forgot who that was against, but the cancel on the dash Zeri
it was against Bro.
Okay, well that does take away some of the...
Bro sometimes has to suffer for the highlight plays for their opposition, okay?
That is their purpose in the circle of life.
You know, honestly, like, if I was that selfless, I would be proud of myself, to be honest. Sometimes the Bros, they're just the next level.
No jump for Faker.
Yeah, Faker could be in trouble here as Oner is in exactly the right position. Grasping Roots will connect as Oner comes on over. It's a fair bit of health lost here for Faker, but doesn't have the flash, he'll be fine.
Just auto each other.
Yeah.
It's like Zara and Ivern both have such awkward walking animations as well.
Yep, and they're very planty.
Yeah, and they also don't, like, their autos aren't really the main draw.
Yeah.
See there, Oner good timing on the jump, covering for Faker, who doesn't have his rocket jump, so he doesn't have to invest his summoners. The minion situation, not great.
Yeah, there seems to be quite a few more for Gumayusi than there have been for Duro so far, but it's a Senna lane, you know, it's not the end of the world.
It's not, and Senna, like, they did end up getting 25 to 30, so it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
In these type of situations, I think really Senna is actually, it's kind of underexplored, and I know there's a lot of min-maxers out there that are, every time Senna, like once we get to mid to late game, you can have Senna farm. That's okay. You know, that's a thing you can do. You can actually inject more resources into her.
Yeah, well, Faker is going very aggressive onto Closer, who has absolutely no mana. Keria is going to turn up. And looks to drop the beat, but otherwise isn't going to find too much more. Neither the high note. So Senna's going to come on over. The Henna Senna, as it were. And Piercing Darkness is going to help keep Closer a little bit more healthy. Snare going to connect, but good buffer there from Faker is going to avoid any sort of follow-up. And so it is just a little bit of exchanging of blows. But feeling like it's already feeling like we get the classic like stomp close game. That's what I'm feeling.
That's all I'm asking. And I trust your waters, Atlas.
Yeah.
They're very often right. They're also very often
sometimes
wrong.
Colossally wrong.
I'm not, I don't want to hold in on that.
There was a KT in first place prediction in spring that I'd like to draw everyone's attention to if they ever think that I am in any way able to predict anything correctly.
Really, in a way, it's like the weather.
Yeah.
You know, it's temperamental.
And I grew up in Melbourne, which has famously some of the most eclectic weather ever, and it's also the least predictable. And if you ever like watch a weather channel or anything like that for Melbourne, it's so funny.
They just throw their hands up.
They should. They often try to predict things based on meteorological stuff, and it's just not real.
You guys have the clear sun into hail, into clear sun in like the span of half an hour as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome.
We just don't get snow. We do get pretty ridiculous hail.
Oh yeah,
not snow.
Yeah, no, we don't really get snow in the Netherlands either. That's actually one of my favorite parts of living in Korea.
Yeah, that we get snow. It's
oh my god.
I mean,
beautiful.
I can't wait. I can't wait for winter. I'm so excited. So excited. Is Henan not so excited here on this bottom side of the map as they are getting pushed in relentlessly. Raptor though is going to get started on these grubs.
That's nice. And some grubs. Mid lane also. Both these mid laners really extending the laning phase. They haven't backed. They're just both sitting on a single one. Is Duro.
Yeah, this is looking a little bit dicey, but Gumayusi has to get over the wall and doesn't have very much mana left.
Wait, Duro's healed. He's vibing.
Yeah.
Well, okay, Hannah's not vibing. I take it back.
Does now use the heal as Oner comes on in. There's the root caller, and oh dear. Duro. Very, very low Trisha Barrage. Splits them up, but they are still alive.
They don't have that much damage. That's
man,
it's kind of awkward.
Duro,
they haven't backed.
Duro is very, very happy that he is a walking blacksmith, you know, a walking forge. He can just start building himself some stuff. And he did make that ruby crystal. If he didn't have that, he'd probably just be dead.
Yeah, so the play was still successful because Duro is sitting at 32 minions.
Yeah,
but when it comes to actually
less than
the kills,
64, I think.
Yeah, it's really not that bad a trade. It's nice for Oner that he gets the camp. Otherwise, it would have been even more one-sided. But because Raptor continued clearing and actually was able to take his topside grubs, or topside objective rather, in the grubs, he has built a pretty substantial lead. So it is somewhat of a sacrifice. But really, with me, or in my opinion, with support Orn slash. It's not support Orn, you know what I mean, right? Yeah. Orn in a duo lane. My main issue is always not the CS, not the amount of money he gets, because I feel like Orn just always reaches a point of relevancy, but the levels. And that's something that I do think we need to see Hannah go and move away from this lane. And I think that the Seraphine actually makes that really hard, because Seraphine, even in support, has a lot of shove, especially when compared with Ezreal, fulfills a very similar role to what the Karma would do, where you just keep throwing these Qs on top of waves. So Hannah can never leave. So Duro's just stuck in a 2v2 lane, which obviously they're going to lose the shove. And all-inning pre-6 is not a thing because it's Ezreal, and then all-inning post-6 into Seraphine Ezreal is still very, very tough. So they're just kind of stuck underneath the turret, and it's not fun.
Ooh, Rocket going to miss Faker there. Probably important, as that one didn't. So that's Faker taking a lot of damage.
Just a bait.
Does still have Rocket
Almost
jump, like
here.
you're saying. Yeah, Trigger Seed comes on in. That's going to heal him up. Or, well, not heal him up, but at least give him a shield so he can stand in the lane. Look to clear this one out.
Tense game, Atlas.
It is
We're
very
getting what
tense.
we wanted.
And T1 are getting what they wanted as well here towards his bottom side, and that is plates. Crockery is what we're after. As it's looking to be a third. Should be taken down here, yep. Thanks to the W. And Raptor coming on over, wanting to clear out some vision. As we look, we turn our eyes to the dragon. First one going to be a Cloud. So no more Cloud Souls. It's not the end of the world.
And Duro just trying his very best to stay in his lane for as long as he can. Again, I think wants to just get as much experience as humanly possible. Now both 6 has been hit. And BNK might want to play for the grubs when they come through. Raptor will get spotted here. Does not check the brush just yet. As Willy the Ward is just sitting there.
That's going to get a bit of value if he doesn't walk in there. Zeus moving back over towards Clear, who's doing his very best to hold this wave at exactly where it is. Zeus wanting to break that little freeze. Top is going to be traded. Nicely done.
It's good to see, and I know that this is what should happen in this matchup, right? You need like a 20 CS lead, but I think Keria's had so many rough performances that seeing him actually be able to make it happen against Zeus in isolation, again, completely par for the course. But given Keria's struggles this season, I think they're going to be pretty happy about that.
I would agree. And I think, you know, you go back to game number 1, he looked fantastic. Game 2, that was a roughie. That was a roughie for everyone. As T1, they're going to go for it again. This time it is just Duro. Henna is nowhere in sight. He's actually looking for a gank on that top side. Exactly. As Zeus looking to go all out, does pull them underneath the turret, loses a bunch of his tankiness though, and Henna doesn't really want to be tanking this turret. And as you can see there, if he got hit again, he would have been very, very dead. As Stranglethorns comes in, Zeus is going to avoid it, but no one's really hitting any of the turret's not hitting any of the bad guys. So it is just going to be Zeus going down in the end. They still managed to get the flash out of Raptor, and that is certainly good news. As the siege continues in this bottom lane, Duro, your turret is very low, and then you're going to find yourself kind of by yourself against 2 people. And so he is going to realize that, and he will vacate. 6 grubs going over to BNK though, in trade for the dragon that is going to be picked up on the other side by Oner. First dragon coming on in. Daisy alongside Ivern going to be able to take that one down. So BNK, they want to be able to take down this turret. 6 grubs. Yeah.
As you point out. I want to highlight, I want to see the replay. I think there was actually an angle for Zeus to get out there, maybe with the investment of his flash, but particularly given that they were winning towards the bottom side of the map, I think you can actually give it up. You're still going to get first turret blood. As we take another look at this. So, starts off by trying to clear out the wave, as you should. Is a cannon wave, so I think actually quite a nice timing. And here, I'm pretty sure if he just heads up, like Henna is so low, I think he can peace out.
Yeah.
Then again, Raptor did have his flash, so I think Zeus made the read. So I can try to get away, and then if Raptor flashes after me, he probably kills me. And then I end up going down anyway. So try to go for the outplay, didn't end up getting it. Really nice flash there from Raptor if he gets knocked in. Actually think that there is an angle there to get a return kill. Ooh, nicely done there. And really, this is one of the situations where maybe could have, you know, found a one line where you are in that play and you get out. You could have also just left beforehand, which is probably what should have happened. Unfortunately, Zeus overstanding and overestimating maybe his own tankiness a little bit there.
He's now back down towards the bottom side. That's where the top lane now exists, as Clear is down there as well. You did see that Faker in a bit of a long lane, but we're going to focus our attention elsewhere. As the Ram comes out, T1 getting knocked around a little bit, but the same treatment actually going over to the side of BNK is now Clear looking to jump after Faker. It is a Yordle battle, and he smacks him out of the air! Man, it was like he was playing volleyball, just throws him against the wall.
Clear has been watching his Haikyuu episodes at the ready to spike that ball.
Oh, man.
Faker gets taken down, and crucially, normally if Faker overextends, and in this case, he was just on the back, not even overextending, not pushing too far in the side lane, but just caught on the recall. If Faker gets caught like that, usually T1 has counter response, but that wasn't the case because BNK also making the play in mid lane. And Zeus.
Yeah, Raptor is going to usher him away here.
I think the catch would be huge, but I think this time around we'll still be fine. Also, Ivan was in the vicinity.
Didn't have the Rylai's, so not going to be able to get a slow with that particular plant. As here's the teleport, and Faker just not actually able to see it. And great Narbar positioning here as well from Clear, and as you can see, just throws him into the wall.
At the ready was Clear. Kill going over the closer is also ideal. We already have talked so many times about how volatile this matchup is. We saw legitimately between game number 1, game number 2, could not be a bigger difference. And now closer, like game 1, is getting a bit of a lead, and we haven't talked about it yet. We are going to have to, Atlas, and that's the fact that the BNK composition, it gets kind of ridiculous.
It does do scale good.
Yeah, it really does. And T1 have some elements that I think will always be good. But I do think once you get to the really later stage of the game, once Duro becomes tanky enough, which he very obviously is not yet, he's going to be really hard to take down outside of Faker, who will then have to move up. And there is a lot of burst damage available for BNK. My main thing, though, for T1 that I'm worried about is that, yes, they have great disengage between the Ivern as well as Keria's ult. And we already saw You know, the Duro throws his ult, Keria throws his.
Yep.
But the wombo combo, if Clear joins the conversation, that's something that T1 are going to have to be very respectful of.
Especially if Clear's going to continue playing around this Narbar as effectively as he has been. As they're defending their outer turret in the mid lane quite nicely. Faker just getting to work in the jungle here. And Closer going to pick up that wave that Zeus just shoved in. 40 CS the advantage now for the Gnar, actually. And I was starting to think that Zeus would be catching back up just because he has had so much spare time in these side lanes. Not to be the case, though, as Clear is still kind of running the rift right now.
It's only going to get worse. I imagine Clear is going to look for Cleaver second and be able to chew for this pretty consistently. This is, again, a composition for T1. Once you start losing, recapturing control of the map is really tough. You don't have, outside of Zeus, anyone that can face check, and you want to aim in a side lane, so it's not like you have a jungler or a support, which has a lot easier time of transitioning from either clearing camps or, you know, support's job in general is just to make sure that you do have some vision. So that's always going to be a sacrifice that will have to be made. Clear also on the call, now fully done. Duro is still taking a whole lot of damage.
Yeah.
Maybe pulling the trigger here.
Yeah, there it is. Call of Forge God comes in. He flashes after Gumayusi, but he's not going to fall for it. They do get every summoner spell out of Keria. That might be valuable here as we move further into the game. And of course, our second dragon is now up and available. That's going to be an Infernal as well, so a big one if you just manage to get one of them. 1,000 gold, though, is the lead for BNK. T1 going to move over and start off this dragon. And it looks like BNK not going to be able to answer it. Just not enough control in that river. So they'll give that one up. That's going to be 2 dragons to nothing in favor of T1.
We'll see what dragon it ends up being. Actually, one of the games where the Camtexo was unironically really good. You have the heal on one end.
True.
Or
oh, it's Earth, Wind, and Fire, though. Don't you worry about it.
Oh my god.
Yep. Getting closer and closer to September, you know? That's when it has to happen.
It really does. Actually, we really will try here at the LCK to continue getting Earth, Wind, and Fire.
That would be nice, because they're pretty good dragons as well. I'm down with it.
Yeah.
It's all right. Daisy going to help out moving towards the siege, but she doesn't last very long. Not quite able to get it down to half health just yet. So the K-Ram, not necessarily super successful, but it is still a lot of pressure being put on here by T1 as True Shot Barrage. Wow, the double value there. Standing in this brush, working out very, very well. Is now a teleport in. Closer making his way forward. Teleporting in answer here from Zeus as well. Wanting to get himself over because of the investment put in here by BNK. Now let's see whether they do successfully get this charge to work out. The charge is definitely coming in. It's just whether they can keep themselves alive. Dawning Shadow, decent amount of work here getting done as they take down the Cassante. The turret's also dead. The Wallop not going to connect, but BNK, this is the kind of tempo, this is the kind of gusto that we saw in Game 1.
And BNK, this is all very telegraphed. T1 was ready for this. But the play just is, well, I mean, they thought they were. Everyone was there. They had the people, but it didn't end up working out. And even with Raptor being the one that takes it, I was looking at Duro. I'm like, is Duro gonna, you know, is he gonna be okay when he goes in? Wasn't him. Ended up being a lot of damage attempted. But I want to take another look. So what happens here? So they get the ultimate.
Oh, yeah.
But Duro has cleanse. And it's actually hard for them to move up because Clear does have a pretty substantial Narbar. So Duro and Clear are standing there, so the front line's there. Raptor, even though he gets hit, is too far behind enemy line, so they don't really have an angle. And again, it's also like, how do you actually engage? Like, how does that look with the T1 composition?
They don't really have engage.
No. And they don't also really have poke. And then it beckons the question, if you don't win the early mid-jungle 2v2, and the Senna and Ornn get out of the laning phase relatively unscathed, and Tristana is in the head, how do you win team fights? Well, if BNK don't, and BNK might overchase, you know, walk into a big ultimate, walk into the classic Ivern bait, but I think the sidelines are looking rough, particularly with how big both Clear and Closer are.
Exactly, and I actually felt like maybe side lanes was going to be a way that T1 could tackle this game, right? Like, put Tristana in a side lane, she's going to eat through these turrets. Zeus is pretty safe if he is over there, even if his turret damage isn't necessarily massive. And then you have Ezreal Seraphine sitting in mid, clearing waves there, and you're very, very happy about your situation. As Faker and Clear doing battle once again, the prehistoric version of Tristana. Because, of course, both of them, you know, get more range as they level up, things like that. So I'm feeling like maybe it's a thing. Is all right, Zeus looking for an angle there, doesn't find the Q3. And Teleport going to be invested. Another one going to be down towards the bottom side as well. So that is double summoner spells here for T1, just desperate to try and get this game moving back in their direction.
And the counter punch.
Oh, wow.
It's not enough. Yeah, like
Clear has teleport.
They don't have TPs. Zeus used his flash in that play as well. They used a lot of ultimates. I don't think they have the damage though. Crucially, Closer wasn't there. So it is just Raptor as well as Hannah. Hannah also going for an actual AD build, by the way. Kraken Slayer, not the lethality weapon, but they're going to keep going.
Yeah, they're
Oner
still on
flash.
it. They're still on it. Let's see whether Oner can actually get in there. He dives into the pit, but it's going to be secured by Raptor. They take down the other tree as well as now you've got Clear diving on top, and BNK, I guess they took a vacation for game number 2 because they are back here and they are ready to play for game 3.
They are refreshed, Atlas. I don't know what beat they went to.
How is it refreshing what happened in game number 2? I don't know, but it obviously was because they're taking an inner turret. They just got a Baron. It's 4-0. What? It's,
you know when a movie gets so bad that you can't help but laugh? That's BNK in the last game, like, who cares? We got stumped. Yeah. It happens. But right now, I don't even think they're the strongest they're going to be. And they just got Nash. They've taken the top side inner. Their side lanes are looking insanely strong. I think that barring a major misplay from their end, they've done. This was still a flip.
It was.
I do gotta question this decision at least a little bit. Because Oner is in fact in the pit.
It was a pretty early smite. Was that Oner's smite and in there?
So it technically isn't a flip because Duro does have smite, but he didn't use it. So with the Unsold Spellbook, you can obviously set this up and feel relatively confident. But what a moment there for Raptor, right? I think Oner a little bit early, but again, he's in the pit, so...
And he also really had to try and time it in amongst 2 smites going off, so I think you just kind of have to go.
Yeah, I like Oner not hitting that smite is definitely not not the problem with the whole sequence of events here for T1, but right now, Atlas, I think it's looking amazing here for BNK. And
100%. And it's too early for it to be looking this amazing, right? Like, this is the biggest problem for the T1 composition, is that you've also still got Ornn and Senna. Like, where are the ornaments? They don't even have any yet. Duro's only level 12.
And it really does feel like what we said after game number 1 applies here again. It just doesn't feel, unless they get huge leads early, which was thanks to Oner and Keria the case in game number 2 rather. It doesn't really feel.
Oh, the Stranglethorns is going to connect here as now Faker has to rocket jump out, but wasn't able to buffer that one. Still, he is going to keep himself alive. True Shot Barrage doing a fair bit of work here as Daisy's going to go down. Henna has to flash. In the meantime, Clear is just destroying an inner turret. Duro is there with him as well. Not entirely sure why. He was just wandering around, having a good time. They managed to take the inhibitor turret on the top lane, and 7,000 gold is now the lead for BNK. A 4.6k Rebel Baron power play. This team just feels like a different one.
It really does. It goes both ways. I think BNK, I said it after game 1, and then in game 2 I felt a little bit silly about my statement about them looking better than they have possibly all year. In game 3, I'm back on that train.
Oh yeah, but I also think that like game 2, I mean, you fall ridiculously behind early in some games, right? Like it happens to every team that isn't Gen 2.
It's also, and this is something that I think is the most important to me, it's something that BNK used to be known for, right? Liv Sandbox used to be known, even going back to Sandbox, a team that
these are
they
cool
won
kids
quickly
that never panicked, right?
And they lost quickly, right? They would just opt in to flips, and right now things are looking great for them here. Still no kills found by T1, but yeah, the items are still getting hit, and that's the one thing why, just like in game 1, I think we are still looking at this with a little bit of reserve. There is still a lot of power in T1 comp, specifically I think in the Keria ultimate. If the wrong people on BNK get hit by that, and Faker and Guma can pump out enough damage, there's an opportunity, but realistically, without BNK even playing, they're playing it slow, so slow and methodical, and I think they know as well that this one is going to be in the bag. Like, as you're saying, first ornament, now starting to come from Duro, still only level 13. But he's going to get bigger and bigger from here on out. I don't know how many stacks Hannah's sitting on, but particularly with this Kraken Slayer, his damage is going to be very respectable.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool that he's going for the slightly adjusted build. Used to see a fair bit of Kraken Slayer on the center back a while ago.
Doesn't have a lot of souls. That's 72. So.
Yeah, so not the greatest.
It doesn't matter though. You have a fat Gnar, you have a fat Corki.
Yeah.
Third item now done here for closer.
And if any Krakens show up, he can slay them.
Is Baron Nashor like a... Is that a Kraken derivative?
No, because Baron's from the Void, you know. Krakens are from Bilgewater.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I should have known that lore master Atlas would know.
Well, I just assume they're from the waters of Bilgewater because that's where all the pirates are. And a Kraken is a pirate creature.
It's the natural enemy.
Yeah. You got to be around where the pirates are. I think that's their main.
Maybe it's the other way around. Pirates just go out to look for Krakens. It's like how if you're a knight, you need to look for a dragon.
That's true. That's probably how it works, actually. I assume pirates and knights have a lot in common.
Yeah.
As far as how things are done. As Closer and Faker meet each other once again, Closer says, nah, I'm just going to give you a rocket and I'm going to leave. As BNK slowing down a little bit when it comes to the tempo. It feels like it has... Oh, never mind. Maybe not. As Keria is going to have a shield broken. Never mind. Everything is going to be A-okay.
Do have to highlight that for BNK, without the Nash, this is a pretty short-range composition, especially because Hannah doesn't actually have a lot of souls. So their siege is relatively lackluster. There is a lot of wave clear here between Faker and Guma. Keria, I have always been a bigger fan of the AP build. Obviously, can't go with the AP build when you're playing support Seraphine, but I do think that that is a ton of value that normally you'd get. Not going to be the case here. As they're just gonna start this up again. And T1, look at the lack of vision. Yeah, like only Zeus can face check.
They can't get here. They do throw down the scrying orb. Is now BNK backing away. Zeus moving in.
Look at the TP wards. Jonas Strong letting us know.
Yeah, a lot of different angles up and available here for BNK. True Shot Barrage over Duro, but doesn't hit any of the squishies that would have taken very meaningful damage from that.
I wish they put Duro in the side lane. Like, make sure you have the TP and just get into level 14. Get an upgrade for either clear or closer.
Well, now the issue is, T1, they're moving over, and maybe it's not as much of an issue because this Baron can be two-manned, I think. As Stranglethorns comes in, there are so many seeds in there. It's going down so fast. The Ram is going to get the knock-up. It might be another 50-50 is clear. The Gnar bar is stacking, but the health bar isn't. Still, he makes it to a brush. The Baron is going to be secured. There is a snare on top of Zeus, but he still manages to make his way out. The Mega Gnar does come in. That's the Root Caller connecting, and that's going to buy them some space. So all five alive, but the Baron is not. They'll take an outer turret, for their trouble. And I think BNK are okay to go for that trade. There is also a Mountain Drake on the map that BNK could head over to if they would like, and Clear says no, because I don't need to kill a dragon if I kill a Nexus instead. And now everyone's going back. If BNK wanted to, they could head over and take that dragon if they'd like to, and it's a Nexus turret potentially. No, the mini-wave is going to stop it, but it's mid-lane inhibitor turret as well. This rotation is gorgeous from BNK.
BNK, no, they don't need the dragon. It's not necessary, Atlas. You want to get those base structures. Top lane inhib already down. That's going to make the dragon a formality anyway. I do think BNK, they haven't backchat after getting the Baron, right? So get the backs in, move over to Nash.
Ooh, that.
Okay, but that doesn't... I know it's technically still there, but is it really?
It is. It is. You know, it exists. It's their moral support turret.
Not the moral support.
That means that they don't get any of the global gold.
Yeah, that's true. They might get the strength as well. So if there is an angle where T1 win, it does come off of them getting Mountain. And
that's going to be bounty gold as well, so that's going to keep things a little bit more even. Mountain Soul point available. The problem is that there is an inhibitor now missing, and there's also an open floodgate in this mid lane. And so yes, they do manage to augment their dragons with the mountain variety, Earth, Wind, and Fire in T1's back pocket. I just don't know how relevant it's going to be as poor Daisy just gets destroyed as soon as she comes up. Unit turret here, the last one remaining, going to be seen to by Clear. His teleport is up, and I think Zeus may have actually snuck around. True Shot Barrage is going to miss, and yeah, can he find the all-out angle? He flashes! He does not find it! The redemption comes in as well. There's the all-out we were talking about, but it's on to Duro. He's so incredibly tanky. Keria, not so much, and Raptor just blows him up! And the rest of T1 are now split. They fanned out. They're going to give up their inhibitor. An inhibitor turret is already being taken down because Clear set that one up earlier. And that's going to be all of the inhibs down. I think Fearx may have done it.
Atlas, it's happening. BNK are going to get the upset win. We're in game number 3. T1, the loss against Halva, that was one thing. But there's something else entirely. Duro is TPing in.
This could be it, the resurgence for BNK. Clear smacks them both into their nexus. And now Gumayusi is going to go for it, but he's not going to be able to find the angle. There goes the nexus. Upset complete. BNK Fearx takedown.